I want to get to a question, and I'm pausing because I want to ask this the right way.
Okay.
But you said you're a straight talker, so let me just ask it directly.
Yes.
Will you describe yourself as a diva?
Heck no. What is a diva? A diva back in the day, from what I understand, is like this operatic, wonderful, beautiful, full voice who was addressed as a diva. Now these little baby divettes walking around here calling themselves divas.
Right.
Don't put me in that category. I'm not a diva. I am a performer who happens to have been here for 52 years doing it. A lot of my friends who are fans call me diva. I don't answer to diva. I answer to Patti. That diva word has been so misused and so abused. It's sickening.
Let me tell you one of the reasons I ask. One newspaper, the Washington Post, called you a, quote, down-to-earth diva. Now, would you go so far as to say, yeah, I'm a down-to-earth diva?
No, I'm a down-to-earth woman. Diva is not a word that I love connected with Patti. Diva, these latest divas, they're little witches with capital B's. And I am not anywhere near that. I am not a Leontine Price. Any of those fabulous opera singers, that's not me. They're divas.
When did you first realize that you had a special voice?
Oh, I was young. I was in my mother's house in West Philadelphia, and I had a broom pretending it was a microphone, and I sang my little face off, and my mother said, I don't know what she called me, probably baby. You can sing, why don't you go and join the choir? And at that time, of course, I'm very shy. I have no friends. I have a cat, a dog, and a jar full of butterflies. These were my friends. And so I said, but Mom, I don't want to go out and meet people. So years went by, and I finally went to our church. And the choir director heard my voice, and she said, you're not going to be in the choir, you're going to sing lead. And eventually I did, and I got a hallelujah from the congregation. Sing, child, sing. You know, black folks, when they love you, they say all kind of beautiful things. So then you think, oh, I've arrived. I could sing for people.
You grew up in the Baptist church.
Yes.
Do you remember what your favorite hymn was then?
As God Specializes. It was the song actually that I sang for the congregation that day. God Specializes. That one, Old Rugged Cross.
Well, I grew up in a Baptist church as
Oh, you
well.
did?
And I'm smiling a little because Old Rugged Cross is one of my favorites. It's also been sung at every family funeral since I can remember. Now, you said you had a cold, but could you do me the favor of maybe just a chorus of the Old Rugged Cross?
On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, and the something is, I forgot the words. Ooh, I love it. And I know, oh, and there's something, no.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Thank you very much.
Oh, I love that. I don't remember the words.
Oh. Well, we were talking about, you sang at the church, and you realized, you said, I can sing in front of all of these people.
I could really do this for the rest of my life.
And then what happened?
And then I stayed, of course, in Philadelphia and met a manager and met 3 girls. I was the 4th. And we became the Ordettes. Sarah Dash and Nona Hendricks, they were from Trenton, New Jersey. And Cindy Birdsong, who left our group to go with the Supremes, she was from Camden, New Jersey. And we started singing and going around the world in a station wagon. Oh God, I have those stories about the Rolling Stones. We drove to LA to open the show for the Rolling Stones. We fought like cats and dogs in that station wagon. We were hungry. We had little candy bars. I was stealing mine from under the seat so nobody would see me eat my candy. We had sardines, 10 cents a can, to eat because we were driving. I don't know how many days it took us to get there. Bottom line is we started out the right way, you know, the hard way. Nobody should be offered limos and private jets when they're first starting out, which a lot of them are offered these things now, the newcomers. Learn how hard it is to get to where you have to get in a truck. Get there and then tear the house down singing. That's what we did.
Through the years, Patti LaBelle has toured with a lot of rock and roll's bad boys, and I took this occasion to ask her about some of them. Let's take James Brown, for example, the godfather of soul. What was that like? Was it wild and woolly? Did he ever make a move on you? Was it?
Oh no, he was such an entertainer. Okay, here, you want the real story?
You bet.
James Brown at the Apollo Theater. It was Sarah Dash, Nona Hendrix, myself, and Cindy Birdsong, the BlueBelles. So we went on right before James Brown. I sang, "Oh Danny Boy, You'll Never Walk Alone." Killed the house. Didn't he come out and say, excuse my French, I don't know if I could say this.
What did he say?
He said, "Close the curtains on them bitches." No lie. So we heard him. He was on the side because I was killing it. Later, he didn't talk to me for a while. Then we did a show with him again, and he finally came to me because I adored this man. And he said, "You know what, Patti? You're a bad woman." Meaning good, bad meaning good. "I want you to start a school." I said, "What kind of school?" "For elegance, for dressing, the way you dress. You dress the way these girls today should dress, class. Look at your nails. Look at your jewelry." Honest to God, he gave me the best compliment. And I always said to James, whenever I would see him after that, one day I will start this school. It's necessary now. You know, and I might do it, but he put that curtain down on me, honey, and then he gave me all kind of compliments. He was the hardest working man in the business.
Now, what about the Rolling Stones? Was it also wild and drug-fueled as advertised?
You know what? It could have been drug-fueled, but I never saw that. We opened for the Rolling Stones a few times. Whenever we did, we were playing cards a lot. Sarah Dash, Nona Hendrix, and myself. And Mick would come in, and one night he had to stop us from fighting. I was beating the heck out of Sarah with a bag of nuts. Long story short, they told me that we had a radio interview. Now, for a radio interview, of course, nobody's going to see you. But we had stopped in Detroit on our way to California, and I bought this beautiful outfit. I couldn't afford it. So I put on my beautiful outfit, and I said, "Okay, you guys ready?" They said, "Psych, we're only joking." I took the bag of nuts from the dresser and just threw them, because we were all in one bedroom, threw them and hit Sarah with the nuts by accident. I was just throwing them. We were fighting in there, rumbling. Mick knocks on the door. We were staying at that cheap hotel on Hollywood and Vine. But Mick knocked, because they were staying there also.
Right.
Knocks on the door and said, "What's going on, you guys?" Nona said, "She's killing us." So he would stop fights. As far as having parties and drinking and drugging and stuff, we didn't do it. So I don't know if they were doing it or not. I never partied with anybody out there.
I'm interested in that so far as I know, you've never really been heavy into liquor. You've never been heavy into drugs.
I never smoked a reefer in my life. I've never done cocaine. I've never smoked a cigarette. I drink red wine, Opus 1. I used to drink Pouilly-Fussé back in the day, the white one. Now it's Opus 1, but I haven't had a drink in maybe 3 or 4 months. So being a diabetic also, I don't partake in those things anymore. I drink club soda.
Well, pretty hard to go wrong with Opus 1, a combination of Napa Valley and France. You
can't go wrong. Can't. But we were known as the sweethearts of the Apollo. We didn't do drugs. I didn't do anything. I was a singer, and then I ended up getting married, and I never had a rough life or backstage secret life or anything shady. I was engaged to a Temptation. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Tell me about that.
Jesus, what a wonderful man. They were playing in Philadelphia at the Showboat. My husband, ex-husband now, took me to the Showboat to see the Temptations. So when we went, I think my husband knew someone at the theater club, and they knew I was Patti LaBelle. And so I wanted to meet the group.
You're not married at this time?
No, Armstead is my friend, not even my boyfriend, but he takes me to see the Temps. And so Otis Williams had this thing for me, and I had a thing for him as soon as I met him. And I said, oh, such a nice man. And so he would come to visit me at my mother's house, because at the time I was living at my mother's home. And then we fell in love. And then he said, would you marry me? And then he gave me this beautiful, fierce diamond ring. And I said, this is serious, right? To myself and to my mother, I said, Mom, I don't think I'm ready to get married. She said, sugar, you ain't gonna never be ready to get married. She said, give him that ring back. And so I said, no, I like the ring. And then I said, I like him also, Mom. I don't want. She said, well, you figure it out. He would talk to me and say wonderful things to me, and all of a sudden he said something one day that made me say, heck to the no. He wanted me to move to Detroit and become a housewife. And so this would have not been heard very much. I would have stopped singing. That's how much I liked him, but I didn't love him enough to stop my journey. So I wanted to give him the ring back. My mother took the ring and hid it. The ring is nowhere to be known. I don't know where my mother put that ring. But he never fought for the ring. Such a gentleman. But if I had married him, I wouldn't have my son Zori. So anyway, the gentleman who took me to the show to meet the Temps ends up being my husband for 32 years.